Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 19 of Backlog Banter, our weekly show where we just talk about video games. We talk about anything related to video games. This is a special week, though, and Abram's breathing in. He's got something to say.
Here's what I want to say, Tucker.
Oh, God.
For 18 weeks of this show, it has been self-indulgent. It has been of use to nobody except for us.
Mm-hmm.
It's for us to talk about what we've been playing, basically to each other. It's tangential that it goes up on YouTube.
Yeah.
For the first 9 weeks, I didn't even know we were recording. But this week, Tucker, it's special because neither of us really played very much.
No.
And for the first time since fall of my freshman year of college, I'm in my spring year of my sophomore year of college right now. There's a Nintendo Direct tomorrow.
Yes.
So we're going to give some predictions. We're going to talk about what we're playing first.
Yeah, get that out of the way. Get out of the way.
And we're going to actually service the audience for once.
Yes. But speaking of the audience, if you guys are in the audience watching this video and you want to talk to us about this Nintendo Direct happening tomorrow, about the games we've been playing that we'll be bringing up shortly, join our Discord, link in the description. Subscribe to us. We make plenty of videos of a similar caliber and quality. And games are here to stay. And Nintendo, holy shit, they're making games.
They're making
Nintendo
games.
Switch now has games.
Well, let's not speak too soon.
Okay, true.
Let's not speak too soon. But Tucker, before we start speaking too soon about things we're talking, what have you been playing? Go.
I've been playing Dark Souls.
Yes, you
Remastered.
Yes.
On PS4. And that makes me very happy. I've got a big smile on my face. My cheekbones are starting to ache a little bit. But majority of my week actually was spent playing both Bowser's Fury and Mario 3D World, both of which we're going to be reviewing, so we're not going to be talking about here. Review for Bowser's Fury already up, card in the corner, one of the directions. But aside from that, this week has been Dark Souls for me. I beat Bloodborne last month. If you guys are regulars here on Backlog Banter, you will remember me talking about that for a couple weeks straight. And I absolutely loved it. It completely turned my viewpoint on difficulty in video games upside down. It introduced me to a series that series quote unquote from Soft Games that I was not familiar with, and it became essentially an addiction for me. I'm not having withdrawals from Bloodborne, but I was consuming so much Bloodborne content in a way that doesn't usually happen to me with a lot of video games. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, it's been 3 weeks since I've played Bloodborne. Getting the shakes. All right, maybe I was addicted, but I'm like, all right, you know what's similar? Dark Souls, same guys, same team, same concepts in some ways. And I was like, all right, you know what? It's Remastered is half off on PSN. I'm gonna go for it. So I downloaded it. I'm playing through that game with my friend, or he's playing through it at the same time as me. And I'm really, really, really enjoying it.
Good.
There are a few differences between that and Bloodborne. I know it's crazy. You might not believe me. But I think that it's so strong in its own rights that I really want to dive more into it. Unfortunately, Mario has been pulling me away from it, so I've only played about 3 sessions of Dark Souls so far. But what I have played, I've really enjoyed, and I think it's just going to be a game I take my time with and play a little bit every few days and just sort of get into slowly, because I don't want to dive head first, hit a wall, and then get really frustrated, because I do think it's a game that I can get into and get through over time. Just don't want to rush it.
And do you find yourself liking the gameplay as much? Because I know that Dark Souls is not only a lot slower and more defensive, but also a little bit more janky in terms of hitting shit and just it being an earlier From game. Are you feeling any of that?
Well, it is definitely a lot different from Bloodborne. I'd find myself Bloodborne, my first FromSoft game, I find myself missing certain things like the large amount of blood vials that you can use to heal yourself. The Estus flag has only max half the amount of charges versus how many blood vials you can have for Bloodborne. The dodging is a lot slower unless you don't wear armor, and then it's faster. There's certain things that I am finding myself to, okay, I wish I had these, but I think it's something that I can get used to because the tool set is there. It's just a different one, and it's one that I have to adapt to, because these games are similar, but when you get yourself ingrained in certain dodge timings and certain mechanics of your character speed and movement speed and hit speed and all that, it definitely does take a little bit of mental reworking. So to help myself on that, I did a lot of grinding in the early areas. I'm just gonna do a little bit of story time. When I boot up the game, you start the game, the Undead Asylum. You've flown by a crow to Lordran, and you dropped off at Firelink Shrine. Firelink Shrine is sort of the hub of the original Dark Souls. There's not fast travel until later on in the game, so you have to walk everywhere. And it goes to Undead Burg, which is up, and it goes down into the catacombs and New Londo ruins. And I went first to the catacombs because I'm like, all right, graveyard. This seems, sort of Dark Souls-y. I'll go down there. That's late game area. I just kept getting killed by these skeletons I could not do damage to. And I kept hitting my head against the wall. Like, why? This is so confusing. Why can't I do any damage? I keep dying. This is frustrating. And my friend's like, the guy told you to go up to the first bill. And I'm like, oh, that's right. So I eventually found my way up. I'm like, oh, hey, these are enemies I can kill in a couple hits. That seems much more reasonable. But after that, I got up to Undead Burg and I did a lot of grinding there, and I got used to a lot of Dark Souls is getting to know everything in an area, all the paths, all the enemies, so you can do a run through, be like, okay, bam, there's the crossbow guy. Got to take out these guys. One guy's going to jump at me from behind a crate. Then I can, if I do 2 swings, I can take out him and his friend. Like, there's a lot of memorization when it comes to that, and that's what I'm finding really addicting about it so far. Is you really do feel like you can get to know the enemy placement and world design a lot better than almost any other game that I've played, and it's really, really interesting.
Well, good.
Dark Souls it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I'm nervous about it getting too hard for me, but we will have to see. I'm not above cheesing the fuck out of it though. So if I need to go look up guides or do a glitch that gets me a bunch of levels, I'll do it. I'll do it, and I'm not ashamed to say it.
Well, there you go. You want to talk about Halo 5 Guardians?
Not particularly, but we're going to.
That's absolutely fair. Because, Tucker, like you said, a lot of my time was spent playing Bowser's Fury, a little bit of 3D World. So I've also only put significant time into one game, as Halo 5 Guardians, which I have finished. And I like it a lot more than a lot of people do. And it's important to contextualize this with the fact that I'm playing it for the first time now in 2021. The tenor, the conversation on this game was way different when it launched, I believe, in 2015.
Sure.
And the reason being, the marketing campaign was not representative of what the game ended up being.
Okay, I don't know anything about its marketing, to be honest.
I only saw it tangentially, but people felt very burned by the lack of Chief in the game. They felt pretty burned by various story components and directions that 343 took the game, but I didn't feel a lot of those just because of how I'm getting into the series now.
Yeah, of course.
So that's important to note, because on the whole, I really enjoy this game. I think it's far stronger than Halo 4. And the reason I find it stronger than Halo 4 is because it feels like this is the game where 343 was confident to make Halo their own franchise instead of being an emulation of what Bungie made for them. The game, I feel, still retains a lot of the core principles of Halo in terms of movement being important to combat. It's not a cover shooter. It's not about staying back. It's about moving. But this game recontextualizes that in a way that feels empowering and agile and fast. It really makes you feel like Batman, but instead of Batman, it's a Spartan super soldier, which is just a different feel, because Chief was always empowering, but he kind of felt like a tank. He just he moves very deliberately. Playing as Spartans here, that's nice. Gives you a little bit of character, I'd say. But playing as the Spartans here, you're a lot faster, and it's a lot more fluid and in a different way, which is just compelling, I think, by its own merit. At the same time, I think that the story is peculiar because it feels like a Halo 6 story, because essentially the game you play as 2 different fire teams. You play as Master Chief and Blue Team, and Spartan Locke and Team Osiris. Team Osiris, one of the members, Buck, was an ODST that you play as in Halo 3 ODST, which I learned because I started 3 ODST last night. But by and large, the characters you play as and you spend time with are new. And because of that, there's this disconnect when you're spending so much time with Team Osiris, but you don't really know them unless you're reading like the novels. And like I said, my backlog review, I can't read. So there's just this tension here where it feels like there should have been a full game for Team Osiris.
Sure.
In the absence of that, I still think that the narrative's interesting. It's very ambitious. I think a lot of its story beats are very fun. The ways you get to reconnect with old Halo characters, the ways that established characters have heel turns and have these interesting arcs. I think there's a lot to like here. And the final point I'll say is that I think this is the closest Halo's levels have felt to being actual worlds that people are living in. There's this sense in some of Bungie's games, some of Halo 4, Reach is a pretty big exception, but it feels like you're going through a lot of battlefields. Here you're in towns and you're in these gorgeous vistas and these natural environments and these very mechanized environments and some rural areas, and you're interacting with local people. And there's this sense of world and place that I think before this only Reach had, because Halo Reach takes place a lot in a city and you're fighting in amongst pedestrians, which is why I think that game is so cool in part. But I just think a lot about Halo 5 Guardians is unique and bold, and removed from the context of its launch feels more special. And I think people should give it a second chance, but I especially think they should give it a second chance after Infinite comes out and returns Halo to a more traditional place. Because speaking of 3D World, there's been sort of a resurgence in popular and positive sentiment for this game in a post-Odyssey landscape, because a lot of the frustrations with 3D World was that it wasn't a sandbox Mario game we've been lacking with for so long. After Odyssey, it was easier to see 3D World's merit. And I really think that when Infinite comes out, it'll be easier to then see Halo 5 Guardians for the game that it is, opposed to the game that not only fans wanted it to be, but to be fair, 343 kind of positioned it more as. But on its own merits and its own context, I really, really enjoyed the game.
So I don't know enough about, especially the newer Halos, to comment anything on this. I do know that 5 is surrounded by controversy from multiple angles. But do we know if Infinite ties into 5 at all? Are the characters coming back? I mean, I don't know the end of that story, if it's possible, but
so I have seen the trailers for the game and I have seen the gameplay demo. I haven't really read interviews or anything about Infinite. From what it looks like to me, the answer is no. It seems like in most respects, including narratively, this is a soft reboot. Because initially the Reclaimer saga with the Prometheans was always intended to be a multi-game saga. 343 stated that, and Infinite so far seems to be completely putting all that to the side. We've only seen the Covenant, and then we've got a new Brute who is the Brute's part of the Covenant, which you'd learn if you play Halo 2. I still think you should play Halo 2.
Is Greg the Brute?
He is one of them, yes. So it looks like most of the elements were scrapped. It feels like a very distinct left turn. Let's get away from 5 and 4 and return to what fans loved from Bungie's games. So no, I don't think they can.
No, that's reasonable. I was just thinking, because as you were saying, with comparing it to Odyssey and 3D World, Infinite does seem like a chance for them to show what their sort of vision is and recoup some of the fan appreciation. I don't know what the exact word I'm looking for is, but if they're not tying it in, I just think I don't know. It feels a little bit like a little bit of a missed opportunity, because if they were tying it into 5, I think it would increase the appreciation. Like, okay, so look, this is how the story arcs follow through. This is how it ties into the larger world, things like that.
That's actually the last point I want to make before we hop off of Halo, because it's more my thing than yours, and we've got pressing things to talk about. I think the biggest shame, if Infinite comes out and seems to be, as it is now, basically a return to Bungie style of Halo, I think it'd be a real shame to lose what made 343's game special and unique. And I think you can have that in the context of a more Bungie focused game in some respect. I have good ideas all the time, as you know, and I share them with you constantly.
Of course.
One of my best ideas I've had recently is a lot of the enhanced mobility stuff in 5 Guardians, like a ground pound, basically like a dash. You get a bunch of Spartan abilities in 5. I think it'd be super interesting if in specifically only the campaign of Infinite, if you could find them essentially as Metroid Prime like suit upgrades.
Wow, that'd be cool.
Which would let you explore the world in new ways, because we already know that the world of Infinite is semi-open. So it'd be interesting to infuse some Metroidvania elements there and have some more of 343's unique design decisions in the campaign. A lot of people's frustration with 5 is the way that the multiplayer in specific loses what the older Halo games had. So I think if you retain those ideas in single player, you could find a really nice harmony between what Bungie did and what 343 did.
There's definitely a possibility for a middle ground. Are they going to do it? Probably not. We're yet to see, but there's certainly a possibility somewhere in there that it finds a mixture between the two. But Nintendo Direct is happening tomorrow, and this is the big topic for this week because we didn't bring a ton of games, so we got to fill it with something. And Mr. Abram Buhner from Backlog Banter came up with the idea, BLB episode 19, Nintendo Direct predictions. And I'm like, you know what? Screw it. This was going to be a short episode anyway. Might as well combine the videos together into one big shebang. Big goulash.
A little goulash. I'll allow it. All right. Tucker, do you want to hit me with a prediction first, or do you want me to go?
My prediction at the moment is that we're not going to get enough first-party game announcements tomorrow. I think there's going to be a solid amount. I think there could be 2 at least, maybe 3. Do you hear someone motorcycling out in the background? Swap.
No.
But what I'm trying to say is that this is not going to be the blowout for the year. They're going to hold back some things. We're going to get a handful of things to, possibly introduce the Zelda's 35th anniversary. I know you differ on that a little bit, but to fill out the first half of the year's release calendar. But I don't feel like this is going to be setting up what 2021 is completely. And I don't think it's fair to expect that is sort of my gist.
So I don't know how much we differ on this point, frankly. Mm-hmm. I guess my first prediction is that people are going to be disappointed by this Direct.
Sure.
And there's going to be a large contingency of the audience that say, oh, you shouldn't have been hyped. This is on you. Mm-hmm. But this is on Nintendo. Yeah. I think we're walking into, for as hyped as I am, a no-win scenario. Nintendo has gone, like I said earlier, put it in real life terms. They've gone the length of the pandemic in my freshman year of college.
Yeah.
Without giving us a Direct.
A pandemic in 4 or 5 months, something like that?
Yes. So the expectations are high, and coupled with the fact that we have a pretty empty release calendar, I think we are going to need more announcements than we're probably going to get.
Yeah.
But
50 minutes is long, and as from what I can remember, one of the longer lengths for any Direct.
One of the longer Directs.
Yeah. But we'll have to see. I kind of doubt this is going to be as snappy as past Directs for some reason. I've got an inkling.
It's the worst part of the Nintendo Direct is when Xenoblade Chronicles 2, not to make a judgment about that game, but Xenoblade Chronicles 2 comes up and you're checking that time bar.
Yeah.
And we're
a September 2017 Direct.
We're trawling towards the end of this showcase. Yeah. And this one fucking segment runs through. But I think it's important to contextualize the fact that we know that we're still getting Bravely Default in like a week and a half. Mm-hmm. We know we're getting Monster Hunter Rise next month. We know we're getting new Pokemon Snap the month after that.
Yep.
I think that there are a few months in play for the rest of the first half of the year. Mm-hmm. And I do think we'll see beyond that, but I think it'll probably be the one more thing. Here's the big game you want to look forward to later. So I think 2 or 3 announcements are possible, but I really think we'll see. I'm expecting 1 new non-Zelda first-party Nintendo game.
Okay, interesting.
1 is what I'm expecting.
And how the question is, how far do you push that 1 first-party Nintendo game? Does a port doesn't count?
Okay, well, let me continue.
What about something smaller, like a Mario sports game or something?
Let me cut through all of the part of my language, the hooey that you're trying to sling my way. There's
a lot of definitions for this, is what I'm trying to say.
The 1 new first-party Nintendo game that we'll get announced tomorrow is 2D Metroid.
You've got a hooey knife the size of fucking Shulk's. What's it? The Xeno? No, it's called the
Monado.
The monolith.
I'll wear a hat to solidify my belief in this statement.
No cap.
Oh, look at that! That's even better. I really think that 2D Metroid will be the 1 new first-party announcement tomorrow.
I don't have my prediction set anywhere near as specific as yours, and I'm on board for that, beyond a shadow of a doubt. but I think you're setting your expectations slightly too high for that one specific thing.
Here's the thing. How the fuck can that possibly be too high? I think there's gonna be one game I think is gonna be 2D Metroid, and here's why. I think it only seems like a pipe dream because we haven't gotten one in so long.
Of course.
We've had this discussion many times before. We've had so many rumors. We've had so many behind the scenes delays. Oh, the game was supposed to be revealed. Now it's going to be revealed X and Y. And Mercury Steam is making fucking what? Shoot game for 4 years. We looked this up. Fucking Pirates Realm or something. Phantasy Star.
Don't even remember that.
Basically, we looked it up in there. They've developed one game other than Samus Returns. I really think Metroid Anniversary, it's time for a Metroid game. It's time for a 2D Metroid game. That would generate a lot of buzz. I think that the one big new first party announcement tomorrow will be that.
I'm on board. I am on board.
Here's my next one, Tucker. All right. Segues nicely.
Sure.
I don't think that tomorrow will feature a whole lot of Zelda content. And I've talked about this a little bit in the Discord, but I don't think it makes sense from Nintendo's perspective to poke that bear right now. If you can trend twice on Twitter, trend twice on Twitter. If you can have the #1 video on YouTube twice, have the #1 video on YouTube twice. Zelda is such a big franchise, and hopefully there's so much to talk about for the first half of the year,
Yeah.
that Zelda needs its own spotlight. I think that perhaps the stinger here is Breath of the Wild 2 trailer, holiday 2021, tune back in. I want to be so bold to say Thursday, but tune back in X date. We're going to have more information about Breath of the Wild, fucking exhale of mania, and other plans for Zelda's 35th. I think that's going to happen. I think that makes sense.
So that's The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild Exhale of Mania. It's got 2 subtitles.
Yes.
No, but honestly, the more I think about it, the more logical that is from a marketing standpoint, from an information standpoint, spreading things out, letting what's here have room to breathe and not get overshadowed by the Zelda thing, which is, aside from Pokemon, one of the bigger things this year, presumably. However, I don't know if Nintendo is that smart, to be honest, with their pacing of their announcements, because this could have happened a week ago, and the Zelda thing could have happened this week, and that would have given them 3 weeks straight of trending on Twitter, presuming that there's a Pokemon Direct next week.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get that, because this is very long, because we haven't gotten a Direct in such a long time, because this is sort of in the slot we were expecting the Zelda Direct to happen. People were saying Thursday, but Wednesday's close enough. It's Thursday in Japan. I think that the Zelda stuff is part of this, and I think, and this is, I'm just coming up with this, I'm receiving information from me, is that it's going to be an underwhelming Zelda anniversary because it's not being put front and center. It's gonna be good stuff, but because this isn't Zelda themed Direct, maybe they're not putting as much effort into it as we want them to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care, I think, is the bottom line. My problem is I've got such a specific perspective on this because, in my opinion, the best way to celebrate the anniversary is just with a new game. And perhaps a few bonuses around it. And for me, that's good enough. I understand the perspective of wanting to have this more overwrought celebration of here's legacy content and X and Y and Z and merchandise and a fucking Game & Watch and and all of this stuff. But I just, for my tastes, if they're like, hey, this is the 35th anniversary of the series. Here's Breath of the Wild 2. Here's a fucking golden Joy-Con. It's got a Triforce crudely drawn on it, on the back in Sharpie. That's fine. I think that's perfect.
And you'd buy it.
Of course I'd buy it. Let's not be silly here. But we'll see.
Now here's the question though. If that's your expectation level, and likely they're going to precede that or supersede that even just slightly.
Yeah.
What do you think could be in a larger Zelda Direct if it's, in your mind, just a game and a Joy-Con.
Well, that's what I care about, I should say. That's not what I think is going to happen. I think you have a nice 15-minute little video broadcast. You spend 5 to 7 minutes of that talking Breath of the Wild 2, and then you're like, hey, here's the hero of Fuck You, Give Me Money bundle with Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess in it. And then here's this nice little hat you can buy. It's got L's Enslow, and he'll honk at you if you touch him correctly. You know, you just have a couple things like that, and that's a direct right there.
Sure.
I think there'll be ports. I think there'll be merchandise, you know. And I think that can fill up a showcase. But because it can fill up a showcase, I really think that it's going to be its own thing. And some people, I tweeted about this the other day and they didn't respond to any of the comments, which I probably should have. People are like, Zelda's going to happen in April, or Zelda's going to happen in or whatever. So it could be that my scale is off and they're like, okay, yeah, sure. Here's Breath of the Wild 2. We're going to revisit this topic with you all in March. And in March, we're going to give a fucking Zelda blowout and things of that nature, you know? So that's how I feel about Zelda.
I think that's a pretty reasonable mental middle ground to lay on, because I do think that a lot of people are going to go in expecting Zelda tomorrow. I personally think we are going to see Zelda stuff. But aside from that, you had a sort of a list this morning, or was it you, or was it someone else of things to say that you thought we might see?
I don't think it was me, but I would like it on the record that I would like to lay on your mental middle ground.
No, we're not going there. I'm not insanely hyped for tomorrow. In fact, I was surprised this morning how little I was hyped for Nintendo Direct. Because a Nintendo Direct for me usually is like, okay, gotta block out the day, gotta like think about this, gotta spend time on Reddit, you know, predicting stuff. That's how it always was for me in the future, or in the past rather. And I think the downtime since the last one has whittled down my expectations to so low that I see it, I'm like, okay, finally.
Yeah.
But I don't want to set my expectations too high. And I saw everyone else retweeting on Twitter, and I saw you being like, I can't focus on anything else today. My mind is gone. It's all Nintendo Direct. And I'm like, yeah, I used to be on that train, but I just can't anymore. I just can't.
Well, because you're the type of man that owns a plastic black watering can for plants. You've transitioned to a stage of adulthood where you want to fucking keep plants alive. These are fake. They're from Target. I hate to kill the illusion. But you're onto a different stage of your life, you know. But in all seriousness, I'm just hyped, you know.
No, and I'd certainly respect that. I think that this whole discussion that we've had over the last few months about you predicting that Nintendo Directs were gone, mainline Nintendo Directs were gone. We had a lot of conversations about how the mainline Nintendo Directs, you know, I keep saying mainline, but core Nintendo Directs weren't good for the announcement cycle of Nintendo, and that the new strategy of partner directs and specific directs was stronger, and that you had issues with the hype cycle surrounding it and the fans and all that, blah, blah, blah. And then we get a core direct, which proves you wrong there, and then you're the one hyped for it. I think that's an interesting dynamic that proves that Nintendo can even pull in the grizzled old farts like you.
I know, and I think part of my excitement is just that I really honestly and truly believe that we're never going to get one of these again.
Yeah, for sure.
I still don't know. Here's what will be most curious for me. If I come out the other side tomorrow, probably disappointed, which I probably will be. Hate to say it already. We'll discuss it afterwards. If I'm like, yeah, I was right. I'll be curious to see if I felt like I was right. If this format doesn't hold the merit that it used to hold.
Yeah. And
we're going to find that out. But Tucker, we're also going to find out one thing in particular. The only thing we know that's going to be in this direct for sure.
Oh, yeah. Is Smash Bros. News.
Yes.
I'm hesitant to say a character.
There's gonna be what the fuck else would it be?
I'm hesitant to say a character because I think that it's certainly possible that this is more of it's some sort of tangential else thing. But I think the fact that they said news for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, I don't know. I'm hesitant. I think that's pervasive through everything I've thought about with the Nintendo Direct. I don't know. I don't feel like it's going to be a character. And I'll be happy to be proven wrong, but
I mean, I'd be happy if you were right, because characters coming to Smash Brothers don't matter at the end of the day, which I know is an unpopular opinion I hold, but a character reveal becomes something that's super exciting for, hey, we're going to be super excited for the period of time between when Sakurai says we're going to get a character and when he reveals it. And then we're going to be upset for half an hour. And then he's going to do a Sakurai Presents. We're going to be like, hey, remember this charismatic guy named Masahiro Sakurai? The character's going to come out. We're going to play it for an afternoon and forget about it. I really personally don't get too worked up over fighters anymore. But I don't.
Except for Sephiroth. Except for ones you would like.
But even those, I played them for a little bit and I was done.
No, I agree on that perspective on it, because even as someone who is as invested in Smash hype cycle and announcements and everything, I don't pretend to get into the characters when they come out. But I do think that the perspective that it's not important in the long run is very dismissive of how important Smash Brothers is, how important the crossover aspect is, how important of a series it is to Smash, to Nintendo fans, to fans of video games. I think there's something larger there that is, yes, hype, but also passion and importance and connection between series and people who play it and all of that. And a new fighter, regardless of your personal investment in it, whether it's me not being excited for Sephiroth, you just being disappointed by Steve, there is something there that is incredibly important. I just think that it's not going to be that tomorrow.
What is it then?
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. And again, I'd be happy to be proven wrong, and it's likely that I'm wrong. But I think there's a chance. I think there's a chance that maybe it's like hey, we haven't really been able to work on the characters, so we need to delay it a little bit. Hey, we're gonna give you a new mode, but or something. We're gonna expand something, but it's not quite gonna be a character yet. I think there's a possibility that some sort of twist on Smash Brothers news, because really all the Smash Brothers news we get is characters. It's them saying, hey, a character is going to be revealed here. A character is being revealed at the Game Awards. Like, this is Smash Brothers news, and I think that's important to hone in on.
I mean, that's fair. That's actually a really good point about just terminology, because usually it's newcomer, challenger, fighter, reveal, something like that. That is a good point. I think at the same time that if it's bad news or even indifferent news, I don't think you're like, hey, here's a direct, we're specifically going to highlight Smash Brothers news, if it isn't.
Sure.
Now, it could be other things. People have been chattering about what if there's like a Smash Brothers Ultimate Edition that releases, like a Super Street Fighter 4 type of dealio.
Sure.
So, I mean, there are other things it could be. I like it to be an actual substantive single player mode. Even if we have to pay for it, like the Octo expansion, I would like that. But I think that, to use the term Occam's razor, which I learned in my conspiracy theories class senior year of high school, the simplest explanation is usually the right one. And I think the simplest explanation is that it will be a Smash reveal. Whether it's an imminent release, like you said, it could very well be, okay, here's the character, but it's delayed, But I think that if it's bad news, that bad news will be accompanied by something. Even if it's like the ARMS thing from last year. Hey, here's a JPEG of an ARMS picture.
Yeah.
There's an ARMS character coming. I think there will be something to hold on to. And if it's a fighter, it's either going to be Dante or someone I don't care about. Unless it's Captain Rainbow or General Pepper or anyone Nintendo first party, then I'll just like them to prove a point.
No, I've been thinking about this recently, and my personal hype for, I'm not criticizing you, this is not related to you at all, to be honest, is my own hype for Smash Brothers characters, for the reveal cycles, my disappointment with Sephiroth, and my begrudging acceptance of it since then, is that the last three characters, my hype has been settled, and I'm just going to be happy with whatever happens, because I got ARMS in Minecraft back to fucking back last year.
Yes.
I'm done. I'm satisfied. Sephiroth, personal disappointment to me. I recognize the importance now, and it's no skin off my back that it happened. But we've got 3 more left. That's wild, and I can't wait. I'm still going to speculate. I'm still going to be excited.
Yeah.
But I don't have personal investment anymore, because I got my personal investment.
Honestly, the best Smash Brothers news announcement tomorrow would be that they would cancel the rest of the Fighters Pass and Sakurai is making a different game. which would never happen. I think the
for
only
multiple reasons.
For multiple
Pass
reasons.
is already planned. People already bought it.
Yes, but I think the only realistic thing there would be like if Sakurai was like, "Hey guys, I'm stepping down. Believe it or not, I don't make this game by myself.
Yeah.
So
the rest of the team can finish off the pass. Yeah.
Mr. Jeb Sakurai is going to take over, and I'm going to go make Kirby Air Ride."
Yeah, sure.
You know. But I think that's Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
And I have to say that as I've been sitting here, I've been feeling this just feeling in my stomach. It might be hunger. It's
Yeah.
4:15 p.m. But I'm starting to think that there might be one more first party announcement. And I think it's going to be something small, relatively small.
Sure. Pick
And what I mean,
more. Small.
Yeah.
Small.
Small.
Certainly
Smaller
possible.
than that.
Certainly possible.
Pikmin 4 is possible. That would. I don't even want to entertain that. I don't even want to entertain the idea of Nintendo doing something exciting. But I do
like a 2D Metroid.
Well, 2D. I want to end. There's something I want to end this with.
Okay, sure.
But I think we could get either a Mario sports game,
Very reasonable.
Or a Kirby game.
Both very reasonable, and both in my predictions for what's going to happen this year.
I know, but I want credit.
Both pretty low tier predictions. I mean, those are both in the works. They're probably coming out soon. So,
Okay, I want to end this. Let's see if any more specific predictions.
I don't, and I think that's my thoughts on it. Really,
I want to end.
I'd love to keep talking about it if you have anything else to say.
I do.
Okay. I like talking about Nintendo Directs. I've got a smile on my face. It hasn't gone away.
People like to make bingo cards, right?
Yeah.
I want to just make a bullseye target board. That if Nintendo can hit one of these things, I'll be satisfied with the Direct. I don't need 5 in a row. I need literally one of them.
Okay.
Now,
do you have this planned out already? Or are we going to be coming up with it?
Mentally.
Sure.
I'll
mock up a Photoshop version of it.
Okay.
We're done with this.
I'll be excited if we leave tomorrow with one of the following.
Okay.
Keeping it somewhat realistic. 2D Metroid,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is the most likely. Splatoon 3.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Toad Treasure Tracker 2.
Sure.
Donkey Kong Country again. Pikmin 4.
Mm-hmm.
Star Fox Grand Prix. Or something Star Fox in general.
Mm-hmm.
If I can leave with one of those, I'll be happy. Just one of those.
Now, the fact that you've said that makes me wholeheartedly guarantee that none of those are fucking happening tomorrow.
Just one.
You jinxed it for yourself, Bucko. You jinxed it.
I used to be a big believer in like superstition.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's stemmed from my obsessive compulsive disorder.
Mm-hmm.
And I've come to decide this suspicion of superstition is a good idea. I think about it this way, Tucker. The Direct has already been edited and it's ready to go, you know?
I'm not insinuating that the superstition is true.
But sometimes I insinuate in my own head that it's true.
Sure.
And I'm telling you right now that it can't be true because the Direct has already been edited and it's ready to premiere.
That was true before you made those predictions, and it's true afterward.
I just wanted to set the universe right, you know?
You unjinxed yourself by accepting the jinx. No, denying the jinx. Its power.
Speaking of jinx, there will be no Gen 4 news tomorrow. And people who are saying that have no concept of how the Pokemon Company operates.
Very true.
But Tucker?
Abram.
We'll be here tomorrow.
We will be. We'll be live reacting to it. I'm excited. I'm excited.
As though my name was not Abram Beener, but instead Ethan Hunt, I'll be in a Mission Impossible style, finishing a computer programming lab and running across campus to sit down
Getting
at this
through
computer.
the firewall.
I'll be getting through the firewall to sit down with you and live react, and immediately following do a discussion of the new Metroid game.
All right. And on that note, we will see you guys in next week's video. No, actually tomorrow. Holy shit.
Well, when are you gonna post this? Because this video loses.
I'll post it right now.
That's probably good.
Today.
Maybe you should post it today.
That's what I just said.
I know, but I was gonna say something and I forgot, so I figured let's just reiterate what I said.
Okay.
Goodbye.